Hi, my name is Dale Clark and I head up the product team for CA Technologies Service Management Solution. This video is part 2 of a series of brief demonstrations to highlight some of the capabilities provided by the solution. In this installment, Chris Polo will walk you through some elements of the change, configuration, and release management capabilities, and then John Weston will demonstrate the approval capabilities provided from the CA Service Management mobile app.
The first use case is demonstrate the ability to prioritize and categorize RFCs based on a matrixed risk assessment. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new change order, and from there I'm going to fill out some of the key information about it, indicate the requester. I'm going to make this an application upgrade, and I'm going to utilize the basic priority, and so what I'm going to do is specify a need by date and our root cause software config app. And from here I'll go ahead and save it. And the first thing I'm going to do is leverage the risk survey. And so I'm going to use the risk survey here. And we're utilizing an application upgrade related survey, and I'll just fill out the different pieces. And this gives us the appropriate risk and goes from there. Our next use case is to demonstrate the connection between the ITSSM tool and the CMDB to understand impact analysis and related impact to other CIs due to a potential change. I've added the application that is going to be updated, upgraded, and also its server that it's hosted on, the application server. And so what we can do is check out those relationships in two other ways. First is through the Impact Explorer. What I can do is I can find out what is downstream from the CIs that are attached to this record. So I can see that the GES app runs a particular service that's used by a couple of different organizations. And I can see information about those organizations directly from here. And of course, I can also look at the server and see what else it hosts and so forth. So the Impact Explorer is very useful because it's showing me all of the CIs that are attached to the change all at once. But another key aspect of this is to highlight or select one of those CIs and then to leverage one of the out-of-the-box filters on the visualizer. And so I'll run the visualizer here and I'll go into full screen mode. And I can see everything that is downstream from this particular application. And of course I can also change my focus. So I can say that the global expense application is my focus, but instead of only wanting to see what's downstream from it, I might see things that are both up and downstream from it, which is going to give me a lot of data actually, because because I've related things in a lot of ways. So probably too much data. But those are the two main ways that we would relate things. So impact analysis from the perspective of the server itself. So I've gone up one step. I'm looking at the server that hosts the application, and we can see what's downstream from that. So we can see if any other services might be affected by this by bringing down the actual server. The third use case is to demonstrate the ability to see a forward schedule of change and coordinate change in accordance to the calendar. Calendar should also support blackout periods. So I'm going to go into the view scheduler for this, and we'll see that the two CIs that are attached to the change, along with the enterprise service that's relevant here, the global expense application service, are showing up. We don't have any blackout windows that we're interfering with, but we're also not within any negotiated maintenance windows. So that's one thing that we can do, is see the calendar directly from here for the overall change. The other is to look at the change calendar itself. And this is a filterable view of the changes. We can actually, I'll show the filter just in case. So we can specify that we're only interested in particular types of changes, perhaps only normal changes, or those related to particular CIs, or certain categories of changes and so forth. And ultimately what we end up with is a very useful calendar. And here is our change down here on the 18th. one of the things that we have is we've got this blackout window up here, and I'm going to drill down into this particular change, and we'll see that for this change we do have a problem where we've got the change overlapping with a blackout window. So we need to update the change to reflect a new time and date. So now the fourth item is to demonstrate the ability to coordinate the building, testing, and implementation of the change. And here, where I'm just using the classic workflow in order to show the various steps that need to happen here, pretty straightforward. We've got different types of tasks that can be created. They're assigned to individuals or to groups. A given step is going to be in different status values or pending states depending on what steps have previously been completed. So if I hover over the third step here, we can see what that is going to involve, who it will be assigned to, estimated cost, estimated duration, and so forth. So all of these items are built into the classic workflow. The fifth item is to demonstrate the ability to identify and coordinate production changes in a single release. And I have seen this done two different ways in Service Desk Manager. The first way is by linking the change or changes to a project. And the project is just a CI within the system. And so I can go into edit mode here and I can specify a particular project, save it, and then at this point what I can do is I can go to that project and view details about it. So I can see what CIs are related to the project. In this case, they're all enterprise services. So I could go ahead and look at my visualizer, but from the project perspective at this point. So I can see, the front office upgrade involves three different services. The customer interaction service, to exchange, and global expense application in this case. And those three services are consumed by the following departments. So that's one way of treating projects, is just as a type of CI that we then attach to the change. So that's one way. And the other way is to relate this change to a parent change of the type project. So what I can do is I can go back into edit mode here, and I can go to a parent change order, and I can look for different changes by category. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go look for releases. I'm going to find any active releases, and sure enough, there's our front office application upgrade project. I'm going to specify that as being the parent of this change. The idea being that this change is just one of several upgrades that will happen, all part of this release. And so if I need to, I can go to the parent change order and I can see details about it. So I can see that it's got a certain category, certain owners, it has its own workflow, status, and so forth, and its own CIs that are attached to it. Okay, the last item is to demonstrate the ability to record post-release review and findings. And of course, there are a lot of different ways to do that, from attachments of Word documents containing post-implementation reviews and so forth, to encoding them within attributes on the change itself. For the overall change, we're going to have workflow that will indicate the post-implementation review step. So we've got a particular PIR step. This is going to follow the production deployment and will involve whatever steps have to happen as part of the post-implementation review. And of course, you can set up status gating and so forth to make this required before the overall change can be considered resolved and things like that. Now, there are going to be different places to show this. One of the places is in the Costs and Plans tab, where we can indicate the actual implementation start date and end date, and the estimated duration versus actual duration. We could also put the implementation plan or the post-implementation review into an attribute here. The other thing, though, that I want to show is where we can relate back to the overall CI. So if I go to the configuration management area, recall that we're updating the GES application and we are going to upgrade it to a new version. And so one of the things that I've done is I've encoded that as a change specification. And so I've got a specific attribute called out, specifically the product version. That attribute is being changed to version 5.2 as part of this change. And so this is something that we can verify in different ways. So we might leverage CCA in order to automatically discover it, or the way I've got it is it requires manual verification in order for this change specification to be resolved. And we can also view this from the CI's perspective. So if I go to my configuration item here and then bring up the CI, so it's going to have the change specification as well, but pretty crucially, it's also going to show up the change specification area along with the overall change in the versioning history for the CI. So here's our change number 1035, and I can see what's different between our last known good state for this application, or the baseline state, and what will change as a result of this upgrade. So you can see that we're doing a sizable upgrade with this change number 1035 from 2.1 to 5.2 of the product version. And so that's another way that we can indicate or verify that the implementation happened properly.
Now let's take a look at the CA Service Management mobile app task approval capability.
I'm logged in now as a technician and approver, so somebody who can approve changes or approve work to be done or complete tasks against changes, in addition to being able to perform other work from the mobile interface. I can view all of the things that need my attention from this home page, such as a list of incidents or changes and so forth that require my attention, but that My Tasks area is one of those areas that's going to be getting my attention. Also, I can always go to a menu item that's going to show me all of the things that I have access to through the mobile interface, again, as dictated by my role and by my organizational membership, location, work shift. All of those things are going to govern what sorts of activities and tickets bubble up into my queue. And I'm going to go to My Tasks here, because My Tasks is going to show me those things that need to be done, either their approvals or their actual work that needs to be done. Maybe it's a certain review that I need to do, like a post-implementation review on a change. The pieces of work that need to be done by me. And I'm going to go into a list of the longer existing ones first. So let's drill down into my tasks that have been around for a while. And I can drill down into one of these tasks, and it's going to show me some information about the actual task. So there I am, John McCarthy, the assignee. It's showing me the overall priority of the change and so forth. And by selecting the change tag, I can see details about the change. I can see status value, estimated cost, all sorts of stuff directly from here. Of course, if I need to, I can follow the link to get even more detailed information about this. But in order to update this, I'm going to just go ahead and hit submit. Actually, let's say test is not good. I'm going to say approved. I can add some additional comments if I need to, but ultimately I'm going to submit this and say that I'm completing the task. Very straightforward, and it's going to update my interface, update the change, update any tasks that follow from that task I just completed, and so forth. In fact, the system has just advanced me to the next task in line, change number 1006. Very fast.
We hope that you found this demonstration to be helpful. Please check out the other videos in this series for more information about CA Technologies' service management solutions.